One year I was doing our annual income tax returns and I looked at the amount we had earned and I thought, where did that money go? I knew we didn't have much in savings, so how could we have spent that amount in the previous year? Where was it? It was time to get serious about budgeting. I wanted to be more aware of where our money was going. I wanted to be more intentional about spending in the future. Well, there's a similar scenario that happens with our time. We can look back at the last week and realize there were 168 hours that passed. What did we do with them? What did we do with the 12 or 13 weeks in the last quarter? What did we do with the 12 months in the previous year? Without time tracking, you will probably only have a vague idea of what you did with that time. And that can be really frustrating and unfulfilling. We want to feel like what we did mattered, that it counted for something. Well, time tracking is the secret sauce to make that happen. You need a time budget, and an important part of that is a time tracker. So we're going to discuss 4 ways that time tracking helps us be more aware of the value of our time. The first way is that it helps us to identify our accomplishments. It's really easy to get caught up into the day-to-day of work or the week-to-week. Eyes forward, meet the next deadline. Maybe we work in screaming order. Whoever screams the loudest gets their project first. We finish one quarter, we start the next without even looking back. And if someone asked us what we did last month, we'd probably have to think hard about it. Or we'd have to look back through our emails and files and notes to try to identify our accomplishments. When we keep a daily or weekly time tracker, we'll have that information right at our fingertips. We can then store our time trackers in one place and then periodically do a summary of them. I call that a time audit. Then we know exactly what we accomplished in a given time period. I like to summarize my time trackers weekly, and I enter that information in what I call a seasonal audit sheet. It's my version of quarters because I'm involved in education, so it's easier for me to work on a 4-month semester basis. So I could tell you exactly how many hours I spent in each roller project last season, which would be May to August. This is really valuable information to have when I'm planning future seasons, months, or weeks. It keeps me highly aware of where my time is going. It makes me aware of when I'm truly being productive. The second way that time tracking helps you be more aware of the value of your time is that you can see progress toward your goals. So your time tracker keeps you aware of your time use in relation to your goals. I like to set goals for each season for each of my roles. Basically, I like to identify one big thing that I want to accomplish in that role during the time period. That would be the highest priority for that role. In other words, it's a thing that has to happen even if nothing else does. It gets first place. Now, I also have other goals in each role, and they come after the big thing. So when you're prioritizing your goals in various areas of your life, you'll probably do it by deadline, but also by importance. My time tracker summaries show me how much time I've spent on each goal so far. And then I can compare that to the total time I know I've estimated that I need to reach the goal. That gives me kind of a mile marker. I know where I am in the process, where I am on the journey towards achieving that goal. It keeps me focused on making steady progress toward my important goals. So at any point, I'm always aware of where I am in the process, how much is complete on a project, how much remains to be done. This is all possible because of my time tracker. The third way that time tracking helps us be more aware of the value of time is that it allows us to celebrate our achievements. Now, one thing I've noticed about myself and other highly motivated people is that we tend to keep going full steam ahead. We finish a project and then we rush on to the next one because it's exciting to start a new project. It's also exciting to finish one. But what that means is we might forget to celebrate our achievements, to take a pause and just reflect and just allow that feeling of fulfillment and accomplishment to settle in. So when I'm setting my goals for the next season, I also like to identify a reward that I'm going to give myself when I achieve that goal. Now, I have a notebook where I keep my goals for the season and for the year, and the steps I need to achieve each of those goals, the estimated time, and the reward I want to give myself when I finish. So it's really motivating to know that I get to have that reward when I'm done. I don't take it early because that would ruin the motivation. So I wait until I have actually finished the goal before I take the reward. Now, it could be something that costs money, but it doesn't have to be. It can be a day off or time for a hobby or something like that. Just something to signal that you reached the goal, that you finished the project, that you achieved something. Taking a pause to celebrate our accomplishments is very fulfilling. It also gives us a little bit of a mental rest so that we can get into gear for the next project. It helps us get into the right mindset to approach the next goal with calmness in our spirit. Now, the fourth way that time tracking helps us to be more aware of the value of our time is that it allows us to obtain project data. So I'll explain what I mean by that. One of the biggest challenges people have in time budgeting is estimating how long projects and tasks will take. Sometimes we just make a wild guess. We may be right, we may be wrong. But if we're wrong, it's usually that we underestimated, not that we overestimated. We really tend to be quite optimistic about what we can accomplish. And we need to have a more realistic picture so that we don't overcommit. So if we think we can accomplish more than is actually possible when we're sticking to our number of working hours that we've decided, that can get us into trouble because we agree to unrealistic deadlines. Now, sometimes those deadlines are self-imposed. It's a time when we want to finish a project, but often they affect other people. Someone else is waiting for the information, or we have promised we'd finish something because they need it for something. So it's going to affect more than just ourselves. So we want to avoid setting unrealistic deadlines. So we need to budget our time and we need to track our time. When we track our time, we can solve that problem of unrealistic deadlines because we begin to accumulate data about how long various types of projects will take. Now, I've been time tracking for about a decade, so often I can predict with very high accuracy how long a project will take. What I do is I look at projects I've done in the past that are similar, and I have the data from those projects, how long it took. That gives me very useful information. I also know my speed for certain tasks. For example, I know the range in the number of words I could translate per hour based on the subject material. I know the number of words I can usually edit in an hour, or the number of pages in a book I can proofread in an hour. These are all parts of my work in my nonprofit translation team. But this has helped me to stop overcommitting. Because before a season starts, and for me the season is 4 months instead of using a 3-month quarter because I am involved heavily in teaching, so semesters work for me. So before that season starts, I look at how much time I have available. That means I'm going to take off any weeks where I'm traveling or I'm at a conference or I have an online meeting for several days. Then I know the number of weeks or days that I have for project work. Then I'll go and estimate how long the projects will take. And I'm not just guessing, I'm working from the project data that I've obtained from my time tracker. So then I just have to prioritize them, and I only commit to the ones that I can fit in that time budget for the season. If I'm only going to have, say, 200 working hours, then, because that would happen if I had a lot of trips in that season, then I can only commit to the ones that will fit in that time budget. If there are 10 possible projects and it would be 400 hours and I only have 200, then I have to say no to some of them. And so in this case, when we're talking about project time, it wouldn't be every hour of our working day, because we always have little things we have to take care of. So our focused project time might only be the mornings, or it might be 4 or 5 hours a day. So you have to be aware of your own energy and schedule to calculate that. But time tracking has made me much more aware of how long projects actually take. So I'm no longer guessing. I'm using my time tracker data to come up with pretty highly accurate estimates of how long projects will take, and this keeps me from overcommitting. So we've looked at 4 ways that time tracking helps us be more aware of the value of time. The first is that it helps us to identify our accomplishments. We'll never again wonder what we did last week or last month. The second is that it shows our progress toward goals. We can know exactly where we are in the process of accomplishing each goal. The third is that it helps us celebrate achievements. When we complete something, we can take a pause to reflect and feel that fulfillment from achieving it. And the fourth is that it helps us to obtain project data, which is going to help us estimate future projects and avoid overcommitting to unreasonable deadlines. So I have a question for you. Do you pause to celebrate your achievements? Feel free to comment below. Do you pause to celebrate your achievements? Be sure to get your free time tracker by clicking the link below in the comments. And stay tuned for more videos in this series about time tracking.